Welcome to the Wrestling Fan, a wrestling show. I'm the big beefy boy, Shaz Beef, and today I'm joined by my fellow old buck in Morro. Oosh! Morro, how ooshkin are you today? Very ooshed?
Ooshky, yeah.
You're ooshed out of it.
Oosh.
I played the part where we both did oosh and talked about how my missus hates oosh.
Yeah.
And then just kept replaying it because we kept going oosh. It's great.
Ooshkin.
Yeah, we were listening back to the podcast that we just created. Cheers. Thanks for the mocha.
Oh, no bother. I'm on the old skinny lattes myself.
The old skinny latte. Ooh. Thanks very much for tuning in to the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. If you only consume this in clips, you'll never see this part. But if you consume
Maybe
the whole...
someday we'll clip this part.
Yeah, we'll just say thanks. Yeah. Thanks very much.
I have a fit of sneezing going on for the last while there. I hope I don't sneeze on camera.
Oh, and that's not a bit. He just does have a bit of sneezing.
A fit of sneezing going on.
What I wanted to discuss today is the discourse around professional wrestling.
There's a lot of discourse, Shane.
We're part of it. Are we part of a problem?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do think
Do you think there's too many opinions?
Yeah. There is. There's loads of opinions.
Because I see there's Wrestle Mobs. Mark from Wrestle Mobs. He does some really good interviews.
Yeah.
And he shared there's something recently that a wrestler put up about, just people overanalyze it and they're kind of taking the enjoyment away. And while I agree to a part, it's art. And I think people getting together and discussing it in good faith, without any agendas or anything, I think that's just
There's
healthy.
a lot of agendas that make... Do you know, I actually heard a very interesting conversation recently on another wrestling podcast where they spoke about Twitter versus Discord. And they had started their own Discord for their...
I don't know what Discord is.
I'm not really sure myself. I know gamers use it for communicating during game time or whatever. I don't know a whole lot of it outside of that, but it's kind of like either you invite people or in. It's like a chat room essentially, with different topics is my kind of thing on it. But you can also do audio on it as well. And they spoke about that in some ways being a more healthy place to discuss wrestling compared to Twitter, because it's kind of moderated and curated to people who think similarly to you.
Yeah.
Now, I know some people would argue...
That's been in an echo chamber, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next, is the echo chamber thing, but it also excludes a lot of the toxic shit that happens on Twitter. Yeah, like Twitter's a mess now.
We get absolutely no interaction on our Twitter, bar if we slag off Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
but
fair.
You can see it on like the TikToks, or not really Instagram, but like on a lot of TikToks, people are very open about giving their opinion on stuff.
Yeah, I love that though.
And disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
And like, that's what it's there for.
Like, we spoke about the tribalistic thing, and to me there appears to be, and this is through no fault of their own, a lot of very young WWE fans, like, I mean young, like, you know, like probably teenagers even. And you see the same with soccer and that as well, if you follow like a lot of soccer pages on Twitter who have like no real concept of wrestling history yet.
Yeah.
Now some of them will eventually and have these things like, are these the 4 greatest wrestlers of all time? And it's like Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and someone else who's active in the last 2-3 years.
But to be fair, like, the run that WWE are on, they could be classified. Their run isn't over yet, but like Roman Reigns' reign has been phenomenal. Like the bloodline stuff, and it's been generational. So, you could look back on that the same way. I know you mightn't look fondly on the Attitude Era, but...
I love the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Like, my favourite wrestler of all time, and the person who I would consider the GOAT is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Val Venis.
Yeah.
Scotty Too Hotty.
Yeah.
My TW save, Scotty Too Hotty, had a 100 rated match.
I got TW, man.
Your time is gone. Forget about life.
Oh my God, I'm the head booker of TNA Impact in the current era.
Yeah, there you go.
I just wanted to kind of like a safe bet, and TNA is always close to my heart.
Yeah.
But
revive the X Division and so on.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali is my X Division champion. So, but you're talking about people that have no concept of wrestling history. And I don't know if he's one of the main wrestling podcasters, definitely up there, but he's probably the only one that I actually listen to. Is someone who has a huge grasp and concept of wrestling history.
I would say like a top 2, 3, 1 like wrestling historian of all time?
It's Jim Cornette.
Like, there's probably, is there anyone who's like, I'll kind of get back to this later, but his depth of knowledge of like the business and wrestling history is just utterly phenomenal.
Yeah. So, and I did start off listening to Say Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Pritchard and Conrad. And I thought at the time that was so novel.
Yeah.
Because I don't listen to podcasts. I only listen to a singular podcast now. And that's when I'm driving. I don't go out my way to listen to it or anything like that. But when I'm driving, if I'm on a long drive, I'll turn on Jim Cornette only after a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I don't really listen to anything else. I just like hearing his thoughts on professional wrestling matches. And do you listen to any other ones?
Wrestling podcasts? Yeah. Loads.
Yeah?
Yeah, Tunnel Talk, Trish and Sarah. They're fucking brilliant.
Who's Trish and Sarah?
An English woman and an American woman. Real, like, super great knowledge of business practices and media practices and stuff.
And that translates to wrestling?
Yeah. So they analyse wrestling through their guise of what they do in marketing and business. It's really interesting. Voices of Wrestling have loads of different ones, but the flagship on that, I absolutely love that as well.
Who does that?
Rich Craich and can't remember the other guy's name.
Okay. So you listen to a good few?
Yeah, I listen to loads, but mine are very much so they're kind of like Tunnel Talk do a really good analysis of like the beats and flows of a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And like deep analysis of that kind of thing. Whereas Trish and Sarah do very kind of business and marketing type stuff and strategy and that. So I enjoy that one. And then the flagship lads kind of do a little bit of everything. But they write some articles as well. So I read some of their articles. But yeah, I kind of mix it up that way. Like yourself, I used to listen to a lot of like the Conrad ones with that where he used to do like a kind of a season or a couple of seasons with old wrestlers.
Yeah.
I
like the Pritchard ones because I was like, this is a very fascinating insight into, like, I liked when they did like retrospectives of, say, a certain wrestler.
Or when they did like a retrospective of a certain pay-per-view and stuff. Yeah. I did like that.
It's really cool.
I've just gotten really sick of listening to old wrestlers talk about wrestling.
Yeah, it's only after a while that when you're listening to something to wrestle with, you start hearing the kind of plumossing. But it's so novel at the initial phase. Yeah, same with Bischoff. Like Bischoff, I was listening to 83 Weeks for a while, but the way he would kind of skirt around certain stuff or be so super defensive, which you probably would be when you're trying to defend your own product. You know, it just kind of grates on you and like,
Yeah, but it's same, you know, like when it comes to like film or media criticism, quite often I find that over time I prefer the outsider's perspective on it rather than the insider's perspective on it. Like I used to watch loads of all YouTube videos of like Tarantino talking about movies, but now I prefer someone else.
Tarantino.
Yeah. Like there's this YouTube channel for films called Tales of Old or something like that. Phenomenal analysis. Like I before I had planned on making my own film YouTube channel, and when I saw this guy's one,
I was like, anymore.
When I saw this lad's one, I was like, I can't compete. This guy is fucking.
Yeah, you're not trying to compete.
Not compete. That's the wrong word.
Like, and that might be.
He made me feel inadequate.
Yeah, but that might be a thing with the wrestling show is that we're just putting our fandom into, I think, something productive for ourselves. It might necessarily be for the wider landscape of wrestling, but we've got some cool opportunities from it, and you know,
and it's fun.
It's fun to do.
Like, I think ours is very different than a lot of other ones as well.
Of course you would.
And
it's probably not, though.
Well, I think ours, to be honest, and this is patting ourselves on the back here, I think ours is a kind of more lighthearted and fun, even though we do a lot of quite deep analysis on storylines and angles and blah, blah, blah. Like, still, it's just kind of mostly like 3 or 4 or 2 lads just having a laugh, talking about wrestling.
I think that's what everybody with a podcast thinks about their podcast.
Probably.
You know?
Probably.
I just enjoy being involved in it and I enjoy doing it. And
I enjoy talking wrestling with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. You know. And then, you know, like everything now, you have to somewhat try and monetize it. or be not monetize it, to be seen somewhat productive with it.
Like this shit ain't free, like.
Yeah, but not even that. It's just like, it's maybe that thing of where you always have to be hustling or you always have to be grinding or something like
the grind set.
Yeah, that's what, like, I feel guilty for playing TEW because I'm like, there's nothing productive coming from this.
Yeah, but
bar my relaxation.
Yeah, well, that's productive.
But you don't value the relaxation. You value like the hustle, you know.
But also, people don't see that video that went viral there last week of that guy like dipping his head in water and getting up at like 4 a.m. and
right.
It went like it had like 600 million views on Twitter or whatever, or on all platforms. But it was a thing of like he gets up at like 3:50 a.m., dunks his head in ice thing of water, and it's like he doesn't do anything productive. He thinks this is like the best morning routine you can have for productivity. He doesn't do anything productive till about 9 a.m.
Yeah,
like, dude, you just waste 5 hours a day. Stay asleep.
Yeah.
Wake up fresh. That's like, more productive.
That's how I ended up like injured the way I'm injured. So
because you went non-stop and you didn't relax.
Yeah. Because it's always this like, if I miss that gym session or if I miss that run, I am a useless piece of shit.
That's probably not the healthiest mindset towards.
Yeah. Or if I'm not editing something, or if I'm not,
it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like,
what am I doing here?
Work should never be fucking 24/7. Like, you know.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like.
Like I'm running,
not so much the podcast because I do enjoy doing it, but there is and anyway, we're kind of going off the tangent here because we were
talking about discourse.
Yeah, we're here to discuss mainly Jim Cornette.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting.
And Oisin McCarthy actually did request this on Instagram when I put up what do people want to talk about.
But I also think Jim Cornette is such a good example of like the overall wrestling discourse. Here it is.
See, I couldn't do that now with my bad back.
Well, you'd throw your back out further.
I think Gavin Fantastico is his name. He wants us to do one on Bo Dallas again. Now, we've already previously done one kind of on the way at 6.
Yeah.
And I do have a very special Bo Dallas book into WrestleMania.
Also,
you've heard it?
Oh, I have. It's fantastic, yeah.
I booked him all the way to a WrestleMania main event.
Like, I honestly don't know how you did that. So I listened to it in my car like it was a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did it. And it was actually really good because I'd seen your notes
outline. There's
outline beforehand.
Fucking 6-page outline.
You said, here's the outline. I was like, this is an outline. This is a fucking half a novel here. Like.
Yeah.
But if you ever go back and watch the Wyatt 6 episode, the one we did on like kind of supernatural elements in wrestling, I was 100% right. I'd like to say that now.
Right.
Also, if you go back to a WrestleMania one, I said Cena Cody. And I think I also said that Punk Rollins and Roman could be a triple threat.
Yeah.
So again,
the Nostradamus.
Look me in the eye.
I am the captain now.
I am the captain now.
Right, back to Jim Cornette.
Sorry, back to Jim.
Because I think he is the number one wrestling podcast maybe in the world right now, right?
Probably, or if not, very close.
But like, he's the one that maybe, and maybe it's just me being in an echo chamber, maybe gets the most interaction, whether that's positive or negative. Whether that's from his cult of Cornette, or whether it's from the people who think he's a CUNT of Cornette.
Yeah.
Do you listen to him?
Not anymore. No, I dipped out a couple of years ago.
So I initially came across him. I was driving back. We were out in Innersteig shooting a film.
Nice.
And I had to come back to this very place.
Lovely part of the country.
Yeah, I had to go back to this very place to get a cable that we had left here.
Oh, so you weren't even coming home. You had to go back to Innersteig.
I had to go back to Innersteig. So I was like, I can't listen to Bruce Pritchard. And I seen Jim Cornette. It could have been a drive-through or whatever. And I put it on. And he was talking about AEW. And he was glowing about Cody Rhodes and MJF.
Yeah.
This was around the time Cody had the cage match with Wardlow.
Yeah.
And he was just, the way he described it was just so... He was like, this is what wrestling is. This is phenomenal. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, I can give this guy a listen. And then I started listening to him. And like, I really liked the way he dissected wrestling.
Yeah, his mind is unbelievable when it comes to wrestling.
So why is he so controversial?
Multiple reasons, I think.
I think the language that he uses sometimes to describe people, like Shibata with Brain Dead and like the refrigerator Nia Jax, I think that's unbecoming of someone. But
in the
like,
public.
But it also, it's probably the way he was like, you know.
Yeah, I know. I don't think there's an excuse for that. Like stuff you said about Rio and Ricardo Shida, like a lot of that shit. That's one of the reasons that I stopped was a lot of Japanese talent. There was serious undertones of just pure racism there.
Really?
Yeah, the Rio stuff, the Karashida stuff. I was just like, I don't need to be listening to this shit. Like, I don't condone how you speak about people of a different race and culture. Firstly, and secondly, it's just like just off-putting. Like
he got kicked off at the NWA commentary thing for saying something about Ethiopians, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I
like, you know, everyone at some stage has made an excuse for an older person saying things that are borderline racist or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're older from a different time. But like, Cornette isn't that fucking old, and he's not from really a different time.
He's in his 60s now, isn't he?
60s, early 70s, max early 70s.
Definitely not in his 70s, I think.
I'd say it's 60s, yeah.
60s.
Yeah, and I just, that was majorly off-putting to me. The second thing that was majorly off-putting to me as well is he predicted early doors that AEW wouldn't be a success. And he was never able to admit that he was wrong on that. Because whichever way you slice it, it's a fucking monstrous success.
Why?
Whether you like it or not, it has like the second
making money. Like
it's the second it has the second biggest TV deal in the history of wrestling outside of WWE.
But that's also like the time period that we're living in.
That it helps, but like it's insulated now monetarily. Like, you know what I mean? So
is it profitable?
Yeah, it would be now. Yeah, obviously, the first 5 years I wouldn't say it was profitable, or the first 4 years I wouldn't say it was profitable.
But like, so
but no startup is.
A lot of the stuff, like a lot of the criticism he seems to get is because of how much he seems to have a problem with AEW, and like he makes money off the back of the sound bites he gets from slagging off AEW,
and I think that's partially kind of
playing a character.
Well, no. Do I think that he genuinely doesn't like a lot of the AEW product? Yeah, I think he's genuine in that he doesn't like it. Like, if you think of what he likes, is but
is it what old school wrestling that makes sense?
Yeah, 80s territory wrestling.
Yeah, but stuff that makes sense.
Well,
so say he like I don't think that I heard his AEW Revolution one, but I'm pretty sure when I was watching it, and maybe this is an indoctrination kind of thing. I'm pretty sure when I was watching it, I was like,
Jim Cornette won't like that.
Well, like, I wasn't necessarily thinking of him, but maybe I was thinking like him.
Possibly, yeah.
Because like I'm like, he just got hit with a screwdriver there in the stump. What happened there?
Yeah.
They did a Spanish fly off the top of the cage and then he got up. And then they went into something else. Like, there was no, like, it was just high octane, go, lack of selling.
Yeah, well,
convoluted.
I on our Revolution review, I highlighted my issues with that match.
You just fanboyed all throughout that.
Not that match. Although I thought that match was fantastic. Certainly not.
No, I actually stopped myself at the end of that match, right? Because I was looking at these little parts.
Yeah.
And then I went, you know what? What they just did
is phenomenal.
Is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I can't enjoy that,
why am I watching wrestling? Yeah. But I did have problems with the match. I didn't like that Mark Davis got into the cage. I didn't like him bringing the bag of goodies.
We said that about Cope and Brody King
as well at the time.
Cope and Malachi Black.
The
way I was like, you're in a cage.
You're in a cage, and so I had an issue because that was the same week as the Punk and Rollins cage match. It actually the night after.
Yeah, and Roman got in.
I was like, there's two cage matches this weekend.
Roman got in after the cage match.
Well, no, the finish was him pulling Rollins out. You know,
I thought that was very clever.
I thought it was shit because, like, it's a fucking cage match. Like, just the cage is there to end in the fucking cage. So, like, both of those cage matches happened within 24 hours of each other, and both of them were against the gimmick of the cage.
Do you know when you're doing TEW says?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it harder to book shit? Like where, this person has to lose, I'll just do an interruption.
I have a no interference policy.
Really?
Yeah. No, so that's not entirely true.
How would that work in real life? That's what I'm saying. You have
to beat people. People have to fucking lose.
You have a bigger appreciation for...
Yeah, no, but people have to fucking lose. Wrestling, you can lose.
Yeah.
Like, losing...
UFC fighters lose.
Literally all the time.
Yeah.
And they rarely, in some cases actually, they become bigger legends because of it.
Yeah.
Look at Khalil Roundtree there. He was like an 8th ranked fighter. They just needed to fill a slot on a pay-per-view main event to put him in with the light heavyweight champion. He took an unmerciful beating for 4 rounds. Like, but pre that fight, it was like, why is he getting the title shot? I suppose nobody else is available. Okay, whatever. It's a chance to see the champion. Okay, right. People are just like, oh, whatever. Coming out of the fight, it was like, oh my God, we love this guy.
But like, this also feeds into the wrestling discourse, I think, because the second somebody loses, they've been buried.
And like 90% of losses aren't buried. 99% of losses aren't buried.
That drives me insane. I'm a firm believer with 1 month of a good, solid booking
or a good story.
Or a good story, or just one moment.
Can get anyone back on track.
You could be a main eventer.
But you take Kyle Fletcher, right? Using that cage match. Is Kyle Fletcher less over now because he lost the cage match?
No, but like the thing is, like, what he went through to get that was an ungodly amount of punishment.
Yeah.
And I don't even think you need to do that.
You don't even need to go to that extent. Who else has lost a relatively high-profile match recently and didn't take the punishment that Kyle Fletcher took?
Well, Seth Rollins and CM Punk.
They're both mega over anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Seth Rollins bet CM Punk on that Netflix debut, people would be like, oh, they're burying Punk.
Some people would have said that, yeah. They'd be wrong, but they would have said that.
I think in there's certain instances, like, remember when Sting went up against Seth Rollins? But Seth Rollins was already after wrestling, or had to wrestle after him, or wrestle before him, or whatever. Yeah. So, and and Sting did end up getting injured. But I remember even before that going, Seth Rollins has to go through someone and then go through Sting, and Sting still can't win. That made Sting look, after Sting already lost.
Look, there are times where it looks
Sting
like
already lost to Triple H.
There are times where it looks like a burial,
and that's a big pay-per-view. But like, Balor loses all the time.
Doesn't matter.
But shouldn't matter. He's class, like.
Yeah, like, look, wins and losses do matter. That's not what we're saying. But losses can matter, like, and not be a burial.
Yeah.
You can lose and not lose anything.
Yeah, but like, that's why there's always people getting involved and interferences.
Yeah, sure. This
runs out.
It didn't start.
We have to keep him looking strong. That's why Omega gets a flash pin on Takeshita, because it's like, oh, he bet him, but like, he bet him like really suddenly.
No.
He didn't definitively beat them.
I
remember someone telling me that a flash pin is like, oh, that's not a definitive beating. I was like, well,
it's a wrestling move.
It's a wrestling move, and he beat him with a wrestling move.
I beat you with a wrestling move. Also, I think there's two things with the Takeshita Omega one, is that it leaves something in the tank for a rematch. One Winged Angel hasn't been hit yet, and also I think it plays into the story they're telling about Omega's physical comeback from being out for so long, that he withstood the physical onslaught, but his veteran craft was able to get a pin at the right time.
They book all these big matches, and they need to have their outs in it. So it needs to be a DQ match or whatever. And as Jim Cornette would say, lazy booking, because he doesn't want to. Or not, they don't want to have someone definitively beat because the wrestling universe goes, he's been buried.
He's been buried. I know.
Like, we're too smart to stuff.
This is like, I'm not
more interested in backstage bullshit.
I'm not going to say this started with Vince, because it didn't. Like, there was a such thing in the 80s called a dusty finish, but Vince really ramped up his non-finishes in the Attitude Era, and it has kind of poisoned wrestling ever since.
Well, the WCW as well. Like.
Oh, they were all doing it back then. And it has never fully come back.
Well, that's why the Bullet Club got so over, because they didn't do that in Japan until they did it.
Yeah. They were the first to do the run-ins and so on. And now fucking Gato is just doing it every fucking match. Jesus Christ.
It's a cop-out.
If you watch a New Japan undercard now, the main event has been relatively free from it for a while. The title scene has been relatively free from run-ins, but good grief, if you watch an undercard, like you're waiting around for your main event, whatever, you could have 5 or 6 matches in a row that ends with some sort of run-in interference. Fucking, it's just painful. Like, I'm tuning in to watch the match and find out who the winner is, not to be blue-balled.
Yeah. Like, do you think getting back onto Jim Cornette, like, he'd probably disagree, but I don't think wrestling's ever been in such a strong place for fans
right now.
Yeah,
For
like accessibility, for variety, and like for like the discourse around it, and I still find a lot of sense in some of the things that he says.
Yeah, there is sense in a lot of things he says. Like for me, the issue.
And that's nuance. Like it's not like everything Jim Cornette says is bad.
Like
everything Jim Cornette says is gospel. You can make your own choices.
It's never the case with anyone. There's a lot. Like I do think part of him realizes to be anti AEW is good for his bank account, and I think he's the one who kind of started the Bischoffs of the world realizing that there's money in the anti-AEW
Like he got offered to be part of AEW at the start, didn't
he? Yeah.
He just said no.
I think, I don't know if he was offered. There are rumours he was, but he doesn't travel.
Yeah, he doesn't like flying.
Yeah. And apparently Tony listens to his podcast.
But like he might, like you listen to his podcast, or maybe he did. Like, if you're Tony Khan, do you take heed in a lot of the stuff that he's saying? Because this is this is the mind of someone that was on had his own promotion. It was around during the 80s.
Yeah, was a big part of wrestling in the 80s.
Big part of wrestling, especially tag team wrestling. Started his own promotion with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Helped book during the WWF's hottest period.
Yeah.
Ended up with
Ring of Honor,
OVW,
dead
Ring of Honor. No, well, OVW, TNA. Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You know, he was there for like Kevin Steen and all that.
No,
he has problems with Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn, but he's still able to go like they're phenomenal. Now he didn't like their match in Toronto at Elimination Chamber.
The one I didn't like as well.
Yeah, he's not a fan of them kind of big plunder matches because he's just like it's not wrestling to him.
Yeah, well, look, but then again, he does, and I think like it's important to recognize as well that he does have what I feel is a kind of narrow view of what wrestling is. Like, and he makes a declarative statement.
How can you have a narrow view of what wrestling is when you're around Ring of Honor during a quite hot period? You're around TNA during
slightly post-hot period.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. But he's still around during El Generico, Kevin Steen,
and
it
kind of got really hot then. Yeah.
He's around during TNA's hot period, maybe just before it hit its crescendo.
Yeah.
He's around WWF during this hot period. He's around like his own promotion,
Jim
whatever.
Crockett.
And then he's around Jim Crockett. Yeah.
In a hot period,
like,
86, 87.
How can you have a narrow view when you're around all these massive scopes of wrestling?
You just need to listen to him speak. Is like
he just wants sense, I think, in his wrestling, and I think that's what we all want.
No, I think you're being too fair to him that he just wants sense.
No, he wants sense as well. He wants some money, man.
Like he wants sense, logic, and so on, but he also wants it to be kind of the style that he likes. Like a plunder match can make perfect sense.
It just didn't in that occasion.
I think I agree with him on that. I haven't heard him speak on it.
He can say,
I didn't like that match.
He can say something that he might necessarily like was good. Like I remember he did say it about Kenny Omega one time. He was like, no, that was a good match, even though like he doesn't like him. And I feel like sometimes he could be unjustly harsh on someone like Kenny Omega.
He's massively unjustly harsh on Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega wrestled a doll and an 11-year-old girl in DDT.
Yeah, which is nonsense.
What's nonsense?
Doing that.
No, it doesn't hurt the business. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit.
I'm doing my office.
I know you're doing that. I can see you do it. Like, no, like that. To me, that shows the narrowness of his view because
he holds a grudge against the referee who did the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stan match.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. But like. It's we can get into that Kenny Omega and the doll and
I don't want to get into it because
Kenny Omega wrestling an 11-year-old girl.
Stupid.
No, like so those things are like we see stupid shit all the time in wrestling, but the context of that is completely left out when this conversation happens. Like there are matches that took place. One of them, the doll in DDT, which is supposed to be a fantastical promotion in Japan. Like a lot of that stuff also isn't meant to be seen in America anyway. So like also
But I think he's of the opinion going, as a professional and a lover of the craft, why would you expose it so much?
Anyone who talks about exposing the craft in 2020 something is fucking ludicrous.
This is back in the
2016, 2017.
Like his whole podcast is designed around exposing parts of the business. Anyway.
Like it's pure hypocrisy, and in and of itself.
But what I'm saying is during the actual show, and we discussed this on the Netflix thing.
Yeah,
like why would you have it as part of your show coming out saying this is fake?
Yeah.
Now let's get on with the show because it doesn't happen in Breaking Bad. It doesn't happen in anything else. So like. Being part of a wrestling show, showcasing how this is all predetermined and fake, is it like you can go, it does expose the business. Because if someone sees that, because it's going to be clipped and it's going to be viral and you're going to be like, what the
when Kenny did the 11-year-old girl exhibition, I don't think anyone thought that was going to be viral.
Like, now, I get people sending me like, CZW stuff where like people are in a trance and they're like, this is wrestling. Or, people say wrestling's a fake. Well, explain this. And they keep sending it to me. And I'm like, that's your exposure to wrestling.
The PWG time bomb or the grenade thing and all.
Or like Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Pockets, as he calls them.
Yeah.
Like...
But, again, that's what I'm talking about, the narrowness. So, like, if you go to a boxing show, sometimes there's an exhibition match that looks ludicrous and it's two people not fully going at it and just having a bit of fun with a boxing thing. And it's an exhibition match.
But they're still boxing each other.
No, but they're going easy, like.
Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, but they're sparring or whatever. They're still boxing each other.
Yeah, but it's easy, like. It's fucking easy.
All right, if you went out there.
So, no, Kenny Omega and the 11-year-old girl is an exhibition.
If it's an exhibition match and Logan Paul throws a punch at Floyd Mayweather and it clearly misses him and Floyd Mayweather goes down for the count, then you'd be pissed, right?
No, because it's an exhibition match.
Ah, bullshit. You'd be pissed.
Look, firstly, I'm not going to watch Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather.
They did fight, didn't they?
Yeah. I went to a Floyd Mayweather exhibition fight in Abu Dhabi when he fought an old sparring partner of his, and it was a complete shit show. And I didn't give a fuck. I drank 15 pints, had a great time, lauged, and went home.
I've watched stupid shit in wrestling. I've cheered stupid shit in wrestling as well.
Like
I'm not here to defend
the 11-year-old girl thing is just him having an exhibition. It's like
But all right. Fair enough. And as I said, I've watched stupid shit in wrestling. I've watched WWE where they've had zombies on the same show as Brock Lesnar. So that break in consistency, you're like...
It is in and of itself.
How can they take this guy seriously, but also have zombies as lumberjacks for Damian Priest and Miz? Like, it just makes...
That was one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
How can the Firefly Funhouse exist in the same universe as this? But also, if I'm willing to accept that, you'd have to accept you somewhat understand where Cornette is coming from.
I totally get
as an old school proponent of keeping wrestling sacred to a degree. No, as sacred as it can be during the context of the show.
One of the reasons I started to go off him when I did, so I started listening around 2016 and stopped around 2020. One of the reasons I started to sour on him was he would speak a lot about worked punches and how this guy's punches look trash and this guy's punches look trash and blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, they do look trash. And then he would talk about these wrestlers in the 80s who threw a great worked punch.
And their sell was always...
And then I'd watch the great worked punch, and it did look great. As a wrestling worked punch, it looked great. But also, I've seen real punches in real life. And the good worked punches don't look like real punches in real life.
Yeah.
So like instantly, and like he would talk about like, and like a lot of what Cornette says about the legit aspect of it, he's talking about a world that existed pre-UFC.
Yeah.
Now we all know what a real fight looks like between real high level people.
Yeah, but like that's... Yeah, no, I get it.
I think UFC, right, when UFC came along, right, and you had Pride before that, or not even like early UFC, 94, 95, 96, 97, like not even that era. I'm talking about like early 2000s when they were going on Spike after Raw.
Tough Enough and all that.
Yeah,
or not Tough Enough, the Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter, the first few seasons
Ultimate
of Ultimate
Fighter 3, Shamrock and Ortiz.
Yeah, and Ultimate Fighter 4 being the major breakout one that like saved the company and so on.
Was that Matt Serra won that one?
No, it was Stephen Bonner, and Stephen Bonner lost to Forrest Griffin.
That was the first one.
Was that 1 or 4?
I
actually thought
Matt Serra won. Matt Serra won the ones of the guys that used to be in UFC.
Yeah, and then
he went up against Matt Hughes, was it?
Yeah, he lost to Matt Hughes, and then he beat George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
with a flash knockout.
Did he definitely fight Matt Hughes?
He did fought Matt Hughes. I don't know if that was before he left and came back.
Matt Serra won Ultimate Fighter 4 anyway, didn't he?
3 or 4.
I thought Griffin and Bonner was... This isn't the Ultimate...
It doesn't matter. But like, right, so you have Raw on and then Ultimate Fighter's on straight afterwards. And UFC starts to gain kind of mainstream attention around that time. You have Chuck Liddell and Ortiz and all these guys. Wrestling changed forever then. And the genie can't go back in the bottle. So no matter what Cornette says about the in-ring product, just in-ring, I'm not talking about storylines, logic, all that, making sense of things. He's right about that. But what he's talking about, like the in-ring style of wrestlers, it can never be what it was pre-UFC.
So even like taking a sell from a punch and stuff, like you're told, don't do that stuff that they would have done in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, when you take a punch and you're wobbling.
So
and
Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Ric Flair. And like what they did like for the 80s was, I'm assuming, like top level excellence. But that shit doesn't exist in the world. And like the genie can't go back in the bottle. We see what it looks like.
Yeah.
We see what real grappling looks like. You know, we see it all now. And I think one of the reasons that flippy wrestling became like so popular in the 2010s, we'll call them, is, I know there was flips in that before, but it became kind of the predominant style. You know, you had Lucha, but I'm talking about like
X Division, Cruiserweight into X Division,
but you know, it became like
massive independent. Will Ospreay, and Ricochet.
It has become kind of the flips and all has become the kind of predominant style of wrestling,
of indie wrestling.
I think it's permeate, like Seth Rollins, all these guys.
Oh yeah, they're like hybrid athletes.
Yeah,
aren't they?
They are hybrid.
They're all AJ Styleses.
Yeah, but I think one of the reasons that became that nearly the most kind of identifiable style of professional wrestling, the one that the fans really wanted for a long time, is because it kind of reinvented it in a way that was separate from what you'd see in real fights now, UFC. Do you get me?
Yeah,
so wrestling itself became a more fantastical thing.
Wrestling doesn't need to be that as long as you have a good story.
Wrestling doesn't need to be any particular style.
And the story can get lost when you lose your immersion in what you're viewing.
Yeah, but
so the immersion during a match, like I shouldn't be thinking when Kyle Fletcher hits Will Ospreay in the stomach with a screwdriver and going, he's just stabbed him in the stomach with a screw. Oh wait, there's nothing there.
But also, you train wrestling and you're a podcaster.
Yeah, but like I'm acutely aware of that. But like, if anybody's watching that, and
how many people do you think that?
How many people watch the AEW show? I don't know.
It was 142,000 pay-per-view buys.
All fucking AEW marks.
People who like good wrestling, Sean. That was a fantastic.
But
show.
like the impact of Mox taking the thing, the suplex onto the
nails, yeah,
and then you see it in his back. You're like, okay.
Do you know what? I think that spot has totally turned around Moxley's title reign. It's weird, like it's like he instantly feels like alive again.
Yeah, but I assume I haven't listened to Cornette's take on it. I assume he hated it.
I'm assuming he hated it.
But like Tommy Dreamer loved it, and Bully Ray, I think he didn't like it.
Of course, Bully Ray doesn't like that in AEW because he's on a juicy Legends contract there. And
same by WWE. Do you think he's getting paid to slag off AEW?
100. I don't think they're saying to him directly, "We're paying you to slag off AEW," but I think it's like, I'm getting paid over here. I better do my
the other guy that do?
LaGreca, yeah. He loved the spot. He loved that spot too.
He got
I think that's what I was.
He first came up on my timeline when he was like saying stuff about John Cena. Like, does he take it super seriously as if it's real, or
look, I think,
was that just
I think his gimmick is that he gets super passionate about things and starts shouting lots. It's kind of like his gimmick. I
wouldn't like to have a gimmick like that.
What's your gimmick?
I don't have a gimmick. I'm just a person.
I think you do have a gimmick.
What?
I think you're a WWE mark. Actually, I don't. I think you're a Cody Rhodes mark.
Whoa!
I think you're a Cody mark.
Whoa! No way. Just because I think wrestling has more than one royal family. But like, I am a Cody Rhodes mark because I found his run in AEW to stand out above everything else that I'm seeing because
I like
it's
some of
particularly
it's
the
wrong.
MJF, like, so the stuff.
The MJF stuff,
the stuff with his brother,
unbelievable,
was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette agreed, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
The stuff with MJF, perfect.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette agreed. Now he did start going off the boil, and I remember one time he was talking about Roads to the Top or something. You know, Cody Rhodes he had a reality show. And he was like, "What the?"
I was like, "When that lost me," or just don't do a reality show.
Like, what the hell?
And then the Anthony Ogogo stuff was obviously a massive wet fart.
When there's stuff that I like in AEW, the stuff that when they do stuff well,
there's generally
and there's not this like fucking
logical
separation
gap
of logic. Yeah. I think he tends to agree. Now I think he does be unjustly harsh on some people. When he's critiquing the Young Bucks match, and I'm like, I do agree that. Yeah, what they're doing is egregious. They're not giving us time to breathe. I love Darby Allin.
They don't like each other from their Ring of Honor days anyway, though. There's a personal grudge there.
But so is Sami Zayn and Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens, but he can still give them their...
Yeah, I think there's a deeper hatred with the Bucks, though.
Yeah. What do you think of Brian Last?
Not much. Like, literally, I just think he's a bit of a fucking idiot.
Why?
Just like Cornette's little lackey, like, you know what I mean?
I think he gets the best out of Cornette.
I don't think you need anyone with Cornette. You could just give Cornette. He's an unbelievable speaker. You could
I know, but you need to like
rein him in sometimes.
Yeah, rein him in, egg him on.
Yeah, I just think Last likes the attachment a little bit too much to Cornette. He likes the fact that he's attached to him.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of money for it. Of course he would.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, I like the fact I'm attached to you, bro.
I like the fact that I'm attached to you. But look, my overall thoughts on Cornette is this. It's something I wanted to bring up earlier. He is obviously one of the best wrestling historians, has one of the best wrestling minds. I think his view is too narrow. I think...
Well, how can you say he's one of the best minds, but also a narrow view at the same time?
You could do... Like, that can happen, because the man is around 40 years now, like.
Well, if he has a good mind for wrestling... It can't be good if it's too narrow.
It can be good and narrow. Because here's the kind of crux of the matter is I think wrestling has passed him by and he doesn't
so it's
really...
not a good mind for wrestling anymore then.
No, I'm talking historic. Had. Yeah, had. But I still think that he can give valid and very on the ball critiques of... I was at a hurling match this morning, right? I'm not gone that long from hurling. The game has passed me by. I don't really understand totally what I'm looking at anymore. The style has changed.
No, yeah, but wrestling, the moves might have changed, but the actual premise of it has always remained the same.
Yeah, but the premise of any sport remains the same. But the NBA, people speak about that because the style of basketball has changed. Just people's ability to score 3-pointers has completely changed the game, so the tactics of the game have changed. I think wrestling is the same. People's ability to do shit has changed physically and athletically. Therefore, how you get to the end point has changed. You know what I mean? Things evolve over time. And sometimes that evolution isn't what you want to see. There's a lot of big NBA fans who hate the current product. Yeah. They find it boring. There's a lot of older wrestling fans who hate the current product. Like me watching hurling, I'm like, everything's short passing and running and blah, blah, blah. This isn't the game that...
Yeah, fucking hit it long, man.
You fucking hit it long.
Put it into the forwards.
Just get it into the full forward fast, you know? But you know, so things have changed over time. And the premises remains the same of all of those things. But the way of getting there is different because whatever our era was in. I think Cornette has a problem with that.
You're comparing wrestling to
real sports.
To real sports. Yeah, it's not. It's a story.
Yeah, the type of the way you can tell stories. As long as you
hit the beats of the story in a correct manner,
is there a correct manner though?
No, well, I think messing around with that manner is fun sometimes as well.
I think this is my biggest problem with Cornette is that
when you see someone doing a Canadian destroyer and it doesn't mean anything into another Canadian destroyer, and you're just like...
Sometimes that'll pop me, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will. I'm just like...
There's a wrestler that thinks... and I've heard it of someone who's been in matches with him who think it's okay to no sell at times where the adrenaline is going that you just go Super Saiyan.
Yeah. Ishii.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think I loved watching Pete Dunne wrestle, and I love watching Pete Dunne wrestle. Because when he hurts his knee, his knee is fucked throughout the rest of the match. And that's logic. And that's, you know, he's been in WWE for how long? And he's not even, he's barely in his 30s now?
Even the best wrestlers, like people that we put in GOAT arguments, dropped selling their knee halfway through a match.
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold has done it. Cody has done it. Like,
no, I don't think Cody does it. That's why
I've seen Cody do it.
I gravitate towards Cody.
I've seen him drop selling the knee. Or alter how the knee has been sold is probably a better way.
Yeah, but he's still selling it then.
Yeah, but like, look, you don't need to like. I just like the Ishii thing is one.
But I gravitate towards. Like, I can look at Ishii and go, he does some cool stuff. In the Cruiserweight Classic, it was class being exposed to him on that level.
You're thinking of Ibushi.
Oh, Bushi, sorry, not Ishii. My mistake. Like, I can see stuff. I'm not a big fan of Ishii.
I think like Ishii, I could watch that guy all day long.
The Stone Pitbull.
Stone Pitbull. I could watch him literally all day long.
But I was thinking of Ibushi. Yeah, but so Ibushi, like, I can watch him and go, that's really cool. That's class. But like, I'll be more engrossed by the main event style, maybe.
Yeah.
The Western wrestling that I have grown up with.
Yeah. Like, the thing about Ibushi is a chameleon in the sense that when he went into New Japan's main event scene, he maintained some of what made him so unique, but also adapted majorly to their main event style. And like, maintained some of the stuff he does, but also tailored a lot of other things he does as well to be that more main event thing. But I do think as well, and back to Cornette, is that when it comes to he's a bit weak. He's a bit of a blind spot for Japanese wrestling in general and Japanese
women's wrestling.
That's
a big negative mark towards him.
Big blind spot there.
I think he likes Rhea.
Why wouldn't you? Rhea's great.
I would somewhat agree in that she has become like the Superman of
the division. To her detriment.
Yeah, because it's like there's no weakness there.
Yeah, there needs to be a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I hated the way that they tried to make the vulnerability Dominic.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to the Santino Morello winning that fucking thing and James Ellsworth. Why is the crux of your female division a man?
Yeah.
You know? I do think Cornette has a little bit of a blind spot for Japanese wrestling and a major blind spot for women's wrestling.
Loves tag team wrestling. Loves the Revival.
Yeah, of course he does. The Revival love him too.
Yeah, but like, before I ever listened to Jim Cornette, I loved the Revival.
Yeah, sure. Revival.
They did stuff that made sense.
Yeah.
Like, their matches with DIY and American Alpha and NXT are
the DIY match is one of my favorite
matches than the Young Bucks matches.
Depends which Young Bucks matches. Like, if I sit down,
I remember being excited when they came to AEW because I'm like, oh, they're going to go up against the Young Bucks. But after a while, I was just like, I've seen a Young Bucks match. I've seen them all now.
I disagree. I think like the two greatest tag matches I've ever seen are Young Bucks matches.
Kenny Omega, Hangman, and FTR.
No, weirdly, I think them and FTR don't have much chemistry.
What, they've wrestled like 4 times, right?
Yeah. Huh. And like, don't get me wrong, you have 2 all-time great tag teams. Therefore, the matches were all very, very good. But I think both of them have hit higher peaks with other people. The other one was Omega and Ibushi in the New Japan show in Long Beach, California or something, I think. Back around 2017.
Golden Lovers.
I think they were the 2 best tag matches I've ever seen. But then, like, so the thing is, the way I look at the Young Bucks versus FTR thing is, in my opinion, the Young Bucks have had higher highs. In terms of their top level work is better than anything I've seen from FTR. However, if I was to make a top 10 of both tag teams, I'd probably like top 10 matches of both tag teams. Number 1 and 2 would be those 2 matches I mentioned featuring Young Bucks. But probably 3 all the way to 10 would be FTR matches with the Briscoes. Like, they were like ungodly.
Yeah.
The Juice Robinson Jay White match, I loved that match as well.
And he loved it too.
And like, although that was a little bit overindulgent, fine.
Jim Cornette loved it.
Yeah.
And he loved the Briscoes.
Yeah. The 3 Briscoes matches, all 3 of them, sensational.
But like,
so I think I just prefer the Young Bucks at their highest level. But in general, I think FTR probably have, in some ways, possibly like a better average level.
So to get back to Jim Cornette, because he can lead off into so many different.
Well, yeah, because he has opinions on everything.
Like he has names for everybody. Like I do get a chuckle out of him sometimes with how I might necessarily agree with him. I know a lot of his fans would. He has some. I do think some diehard fans.
I do think he has some of the worst fans on the internet.
Say that again so I can clip it up. Jim Cornette has
some of the worst fans.
Say it from the start.
Jim Cornette has some of the worst fans on the internet.
But say it without cutting me off. Give it a beat and then go again.
Okay. Jim Cornette has some of the worst fans on the internet.
What makes you say that?
I think because he speaks in such a way whereby he insults people using kind of funny terms. Like it is kind of objectively, he uses funny terms to insult some people. Some people, it's not funny and it's a bit racist or whatever. And they try to copy him a lot. And they're just not funny at it.
So it's...
He's just spawned all these copycats who aren't original and therefore aren't in any way funny. They just spew stuff because they think these words sound good in this order.
They make songs for him.
Cool. Good for them.
Fun songs.
Like, do you ever meet a young lad who is just deadly at slagging people? And they come up with loads of funny things the way of slagging people. Jim Cornette is that young lad. Right? But then that young lad's friends all tried to copy his style of slagging people. And they're just not as good at it because they're not as witty. They're not as off the cuff. So that's Jim Cornette's fans. They're trying to copy the way he does and they just can't do it.
I'm a fan of Jim Cornette.
Hey, look, so am I, but you're not an idiot. So you don't try and copy someone.
You
don't base your personality around Jim Cornette. Some of these people on the internet do.
Finger bang fuck.
Yeah, like stuff. And but then they'll try and do something like that and it's sounds stupid
Finger bang fuck.
You know, I was on a YouTube or a Twitter thread or something anyway. And the third comment down was so clearly someone in the cult of Cornette. And he tried to string this thing together. And I was like
Mussolini!
I was like, you just sound like a dumb idiot in public on the internet now. Because you can't do it the way he
What about his hate towards Shitstain, Vince Russo?
I'm all on board with that.
That's so funny.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
It is great.
What was that episode of Dark Side of the Ring where they just based the whole episode around...
He gave the best,
promo? It was nearly a promo.
About wrestling. When he was describing what wrestling is, he goes, you're driving down the street and you see a big guy, just wailing on some young guy. And you're going to stop and watch because there's a fight. And then, if this small young guy...
starts making a big comeback.
Starts hitting him back and he starts rocking the big guy, you're going to start shouting for the young guy.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to get invested. And what wrestling is, we try and make it pay for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just...
I think he appreciates good wrestling. He knows good wrestling when he sees it. I think he doesn't appreciate the current style of wrestling because there is a lack of selling in a lot of cases, which in turn leads to a break of logic.
I actually think it's a lack of the type of selling that he likes, not a lack of selling. I don't think there's a major issue with selling in modern wrestling in any company.
If you take a bump and then you're getting up straight after it. If you take a Spanish fly off the top of a cage and then you get straight up.
Yeah, but I also don't want to watch people lie on the floor for 25 seconds.
When Mick Foley went off the top of the cell.
He wasn't selling. He went off the top of a fucking cell through a thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't selling. He was legit fucked up.
I'm just saying, if you do so much in a match, it's hard to comprehend it all. And it's hard to take
sometimes matches can be bamboo-zling because of that reason. I get the thing of
think about the amount of
but also I just think that the style has evolved that way and that's the game now.
I'm trying to think the amount of punishment that they put each other through in that cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher.
Yeah. But you could say that
what's the main thing you remember?
What's the number one image?
Yeah.
For me was the Styles clash on the thumbtacks where it hurt his pee-pee.
Like, I forgot all about that until I listened to your podcast.
That one was ingrained in my memory.
Mine was the screwdriver that didn't go into him.
Yeah, I didn't like Screwdriver.
And the Spanish Fly.
Spanish Fly. That was my second one. The first thing was...
Like, think about, they bet the fuck out each other with barbed wire baseball bats or whatever.
Also, yeah, I kind of tuned out for a lot of that because I was like, this shouldn't be in the match.
Like, exactly, you tuned out. They were doing too much.
I didn't tune out, like I remember.
He just said it.
But...
I just said it.
Actually, one of my favourite things in the match is when they met each other at the top of the cage at the start.
Yeah, but they didn't have to do anything. That's just a cool image.
Yeah, it was an awesome image.
That's perfect.
Yeah. But I also don't want, like, when I hear podcasters, and not Cornette, just podcasts in general, say, I don't want to watch my wrestlers do nothing because the tickets are already sold. This isn't fucking Hulk Hogan. I just wouldn't watch wrestling then. I want them to do cool shit.
I watched the Wrestling Classic, right, from 1985.
Deadly.
And it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. And they start off with like a 16-man tournament. And then I think Hogan and Roddy. So I got through the start of like up to the first round. But they had to go through 8 matches.
In 42 minutes, 26 minutes.
And I'm like, how did they get it? They had to go through 8 matches, to go through 4 matches, to go to 2 matches, to go to 1 match, and also have a main event in 2 hours and 10 minutes.
And they did it.
And I was looking at it going, how are they going to do
this?
this?
Back to WrestleMania 4, like.
It's nuts.
It's nuts how they did it back then.
And like, it's so quick. And I remember some of those finishes.
Well,
like Terry
they
Funk
don't
against
show 47 minutes of ads every hour like modern WWE do.
Terry Funk against Moondog's Spot. Terry Funk is like I don't want to fight you, Moondog. You don't want to fight me, do you? Moondog's like, no. And he goes, let's just call this a draw. And then they both hop out of the ring, and Moondog goes to walk off, and Terry Funk punches him in the back of the head. Runs back in. But Moondog grabs him, throws Terry Funk out, and he gets back in the ring. Moondog, I was like, that was 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's smart shit. But like, I just want, like, I want my wrestlers to work hard and do cool shit. 2025.
Yeah, but they can work harder in other ways.
That's true too. And like,
make a man work,
like,
baby.
Like, there's like you said, accessibility. We have access to every style of wrestling. Like, if there's one style you don't like I've found the last month of WWE next to impossible to watch.
It's been, I think the polished nature of it is really starting to grate on me.
It feels so
disingenuous,
not organic.
It's just consume product.
Consume
this and get ready for the next.
It's not art.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about that. I found it so, like, Dumphy texted us last night saying
SmackDown,
saying like, I'm going to watch my first full SmackDown for the first time since 2002.
8 minutes in, nothing's happened.
No, 80 minutes in. He's like, not 80. Oh, sorry, I said 8. 80 minutes in, nothing's happened. And it's like, actually, Naomi cut a really good promo. And like, but like, that's how, because we reviewed, like, me and you generally do a lot of the review shows together. Me and John have done a couple, but me and you do most of the review shows. And when we're reviewing, I think this is one of the main reasons why I come across more marquee to AEW is that there's way more wrestling on the show when it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I can remember more.
And when I watched
the WWF pay-per-view.
No, and a big issue is, actually, I don't know if it's a big issue, but I'm watching a lot of the WWE shows in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And when it goes 25 minutes of ads, I'm like, it's fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Just show me a wrestling match. You know what I mean? And yeah, just so it's that corporate thing of it. I find it really hard. And I don't really know how long I can just keep plowing through.
I'm not looking forward to WrestleMania and what's going to be.
And I used to,
just for
like, last year I was like,
yeah.
And like, I watched night 1 last year. I didn't like it.
But just like fill it, like, but even fill it with
matches.
No, not
short
even matches,
whatever.
but like
give me
actual
something.
Wrestling content instead of like an ad for St. Petersburg.
Whatever. Like.
And Big E doing like just nonsense. Have it part of your story.
Yeah.
We keep going off track.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think Jim would have been proud of some of that stuff.
Yeah. Is he
still valuable to the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he is.
I don't listen to him as much anymore. But if there is a review show and I find myself driving
a long drive somewhere, yeah.
I'll throw him on, and he'll be my first port.
Yeah,
and probably my only port to call.
Like I said, most of my in not just in wrestling but any other stuff, most of the critique I go to now is people who are outside looking in.
But so is Jim Cornette.
Yeah, but he's coming at it from the ultimate insider. Like he's now he's on the outside looking in. What song is that?
He can see through you, see the real you. 'Cause inside you're ugly like me. I can see through you, see true colors. Stained.
I remember Stained.
Outside.
I had that album.
It had another song, wasn't it?
Bought that album.
So do I. It's not a great album.
It's shite.
Yeah. What was the other one? Now that you're here so far away.
Don't remember that one.
They kind of had a wrestling connection, didn't they?
I think they did.
So Far Away, I think was their song.
No Mercy soundtrack or something. Or what. They weren't quite Creed, were they? Did you see
Sacrifice.
that guy? Fucking whatchamacallit?
At Cave, singing into the cave.
No, some guy was at whatchamacallit recently. That band with the lad with the red hat. Limp Bizkit concert. And you know the song they did for WrestleMania 17?
My Way.
Yeah. Not they didn't do it for that, but that was the song for it. Some guy, while they were singing it, was holding up on an iPad
Class.
the WrestleMania 17 promo.
Nice.
And someone behind him got a photograph. So it's Fred Durst, modern Fred Durst, old dude Fred Durst, up on the stage singing the song with the thing playing on an iPad.
Biscuit had a good run with WWE. Obviously,
Did a lot of stuff
they had
there.
the Undertaker song.
Yeah.
They had WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
They had WrestleMania 19.
Was it 19 was the other one?
Yeah. And then they had Crack Addict or something. And then they had Survivor Series 2003.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah.
I thought it was
They
two
did a
or
live
three.
performance at WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, I was always confused. Was that 18 or 19?
19, that was...
So they skipped 18. They didn't do that at 18.
That was Undertaker against Albert and Big Show with Nathan Jones coming down.
Yeah, when they thought Nathan Jones could wrestle and realised they can't, so they had to
cancel him.
had to fucking...
Had to get rid of him. Do you think Jim Cornette will get cancelled again? Do you think he's toxic? Do you genuinely think he's toxic?
Yeah, it's just the way he speaks about people is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because I think his message would be more palatable for people if that wasn't the case. Yeah. And look, he doesn't give a shit, like, you know what I mean? He certainly doesn't give a shit what I think.
He's making bank.
But even if he wasn't, I still don't think he'd give a shit. I still think he would say the same stuff. It's just that I don't, like me personally, I don't want to listen to him insulting people. Like, I would like to listen to his critiques without the insults.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And like, it's not as if I'm afraid of fucking insults, like, you know what I mean?
Well, like, I don't think, I think when you're talking about, like, I like talking about the stories in wrestling. I don't generally, like, have a massive opinion about how people are doing moves or, you know, but I like the stories, and if the story makes sense, it's class.
I could not tell you if a move was executed 100% perfectly or not. Like, I don't have the eye or the background for
I don't like commenting generally on, like, you know, this person not being good in the ring and whatever. Like,
generally, I don't like. The only thing I know is when I'm looking at people who's good in the ring and who's not is when I look at a match, I know the Miz is shit in the ring. I know most other people are fairly good to very good.
I don't think Miz is shit.
Nah, he's shit.
Just a style, man.
Did you see him try to do a Rainmaker last night?
Did he?
Oh my god.
That sounds class.
It was fucking tragic.
Yeah, but like Okada, he's looking a bit tragic now in AEW.
He's had some good matches. He's so fucking Okada.
He's a year with the Continental Championship.
Like, the thing about Okada is that people don't realize that if they weren't watching, people who watch New Japan, who like religiously watch New Japan, not just tune in for the big show and the big Okada defense. Like, if you were watching all the other shows, you just see Okada going through the motions, like, and then like, oh, all right, I'm doing 40-minute main event, right? Tune in here now and put on a fucking banger. That's Okada. And like, when he needs to, he'll just rock it.
Okada.
That's
Jim,
Okada.
if you're listening, that's Okada. When
That's
the moon
Okada.
hits you right like a big pizza pie, that's Okada. That's Okada. Bitch.
We've sang 2 songs
Oh,
for that.
man. I think we should end it.
Oh, 100%. Get us out of here.
Yeah, I
Get us out of here. I probably have a parking ticket there, don't I, realistically?
I would say so, and I'm not going to contribute to that payment. New Wrestling
Hey,
Fan
would
Wrestling
you
Show
text
t-shirts
me?
and merch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one ordered.
Did you order one?
No. I wanted to see your reaction. I want to get one for to represent at Scrapper Mania.
Boom. Yeah, get your orders in.
I think I want to get just the one, the WFWS.
Yeah, I thought there's one with a black writing and one with white writing.
Because I can't.
White.
I bought an LJ Cleary t-shirt and I can't wear it in public.
Why?
It's yellow.
So yellow. Give it to me. I'll wear it.
You can have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give it to you.
Give it to me.
It's a little bit snug on me too.
That's what happens when you're big beefy boys.
My arms are too big for it, you know.
Here, like the podcast,
Comment.
subscribe, comment, rate it.
Tag Jim Cornette with the parts where I insulted his fan base.
I'm going to clip the shit out of this, man. Especially the part where I was like, no, redo it again.
If there's nothing I like more, it's dumb Americans trying to start fights with me on the internet.
You do love it. Do you think people know that when you're responding to them, that you're the person in the video that they're giving out about?
No.
Because it's just Nash Matters.
Yeah, they don't know.
He is Nash Matters.
They don't know who it is. And
they're like, well, blah, 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 and some random guy getting in an argument on the internet. I'm like, no, that's that guy.
Yeah,
that's
it's me. It's me. I'm engagement farming there.
Yeah, he'll do it on YouTube as well. Give him shit.
I got 19 replies out of one guy one time.
You'll never live that down. Never live that down.
19 out of them.
Thanks very much for listening.
Does that count? Does he every time he replies? Does that count as a view for the video?
I have no idea. I don't know. We've been a year into this. I don't know analytics. I just enjoy doing this.
Yeah, me too.
The Bo Dallas booked to WrestleMania has been written. It has been recorded. We are.
You're doing imagery.
I'm trying to do imagery. I'm tagging in one of my.
Do you know what's going to happen
friends.
there?
What?
WWE are going to copyright claim.
No. It's images. I'm not doing.
You're not doing videos.
No, I'm doing like a graphic novel.
Nice.
I'm not drawing it. I'm just stealing images.
Are WWE going to copyright claim it?
Can't if it's print screen, right?
I don't know.
Print screen reverse.
Yeah.
Put a few fucking little effects on it. Because my JBL, I've been getting onto the guy who has the project file for my JBL documentary, and I was like, just send me the file. I'm just going to put in pictures instead.
Such a shame because that was fucking awesome.
That was fun. We'll get it up there again. Yeah. I can't even send a link to people unlisted.
Like it should be, that surely should fall under fair use. Like
I've tried to, even like there's a 9-second clip. Maybe I just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for listening. Buy some t-shirts. Buy this one, CM Pork.
Get the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show t-shirt.
Yeah, get the Healy Rey Mysterio. We have a good one coming up soon.
We do. We have a fantastic one, actually.
I'm going to get that.
That is fantastic.
Thanks very much for listening. We are the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. Stay safe. Stay sane.